Welcome back to EMR 6480, Introduction to Qualitative Research. I am your host, Dr. June Gathberg, and for this lecture burst, we are going to look at case study. As you can see, I have included in my backdrop one of our classrooms. The reason I have included classroom is because we're going to talk about case study, and case study requires a bounded something. So it needs to be bounded. For my example here, I would bound my study within this classroom. Talk a little deeper about that. So on Creswell's flowchart here, when you are selecting the type of qualitative methodology for your research interest and questions under case study, he lets us know that this is used to develop an in-depth description and analysis of a case or multiple cases, and it provides that in-depth understanding of a case or cases. Case study is interested in studying the cases within a real-life context or setting. Merriam and Tisdale state that the case study is an in-depth description and analysis of a bounded system. The single most defining characteristic of case study research lies in delimited the object of study, the case, and then the unit of analysis, not the topic of the investigation, characterizes a case study. Further, if the phenomenon you are interested in studying is not intrinsically bounded, it is not a case. So you need to think that over deeply as you pull out those components. It's not about your topic. It's about your bounded case. Creswell and Post share that case study explores a real-life, contemporary, bounded system, known as the case, or multiple bounded systems, cases, over time. Through detailed, in-depth data collection involving multiple sources of information, like observations, interviews, audio-video materials, documents, and reports, a case description and case themes. The foundational question here is, what are the characteristics of this single case or these comparison cases? Typically, different concepts and theories are combined to inform the case. This is pretty unique to this type of a qualitative research project. Multiple methods of data collection are used. Data analysis uses triangulation. So for beginning researchers, I encourage you to think about 3 ways, hence a triangle, to collect your data about your case. Findings are reported in a rich and holistic description of a case and context. So you're not trying to pull out tiny pieces of the case, you're trying to triangulate that data so that you're pulling out information from your interviews that supports the information from your observations, which supports your information from your documents. So perhaps you conduct a policy analysis about the educational requirements for a K-12 classroom. And then you go observe the teacher teaching in that classroom. And that either confirms what you've read in your policy analysis or it does not. And then you interview perhaps students or maybe teachers or administrators or parents, whatever it is that supports the data collection for your research question. That becomes the third piece of your triangle. Okay, finally, I'll give you some questions. And know that This is a fun method. Many people enjoy it and make programmatic type decisions based off of their case studies, in addition to being able to report in the research what your findings are. So I have a question here from a student who conducted a study during one of the 6580s, and they asked, how did the Midwestern Public four-year institution use innovations to rapidly respond to non-traditional student needs for a flexible graduate master's program? And I will tell you that not only was this a successful study for this particular student, but this student was able to bring this focus, this lens into their dissertation. And they are in the middle of a dissertation that has been supported from the work done in 6580. So pretty exciting. From the literature, I have 5 examples for you. The first one is what strategies are being used by small businesses that have effective and viable workplace wellness programs. The next question asks, what are the principles of good practice pertaining to academic and student affairs partnership programs? From another lens, this was a very big case study. The Haddock Miller et al. Ask, in what ways does a multinational company approach green human resource management in its British, German, and Swedish subsidiaries? Our fourth question asks, what factors impact teachers' attitudes towards PD and initial implementation of the focus on K2 curriculum? And finally, another question that is very representative of case study is, what role does social capital play in achieving the transformative goals of full service community schools for underserved students and families? I think on some of the other videos that you've watched of different qualitative methodologies, some of these questions have a lot of moving components in them. However, it restricts your participant pool in such a way that it's actually helpful for being able to make specific recommendations and being able to fully understand your results. So that is the last video on our series for methodology. And I am more than willing to answer your questions if you have questions around this. My hope is that these short lecture blasts will assist you as you are thinking about proposing your research. So I will see you in class, and go Broncos.